Replaced. My husband replaced me after I cheated on him. Yes, I can admit that I cheated on my husband. I take full responsibility because I am remorseful. I know many of you would never think that a cheater would feel bad for betraying their partner. But I'm here to tell you that I feel horrible and I miss my husband. I was woman enough to come to my husband and tell him the truth. He never suspected anything, but it was burning inside. I knew what I did with his best friend was wrong. My husband's best friend wanted to run away with me. I gave in to his flirting one night while we all were too drunk. Prior to this, I knew that he wanted me. He'd tell me often, but I never told my husband of his best friend's flirting because Jimmy would have been a deceased man if I did tell my husband. According to Jimmy, I agreed to running away with him during the night I betrayed my husband. I gave my body away to another man. Jimmy got highly upset after I dismissed his text messages of him telling me he's gotten us tickets, flights to another city, and we were to run away and never tell my husband. I told him how silly it was, and I'd never leave my husband. Jimmy threatened to tell my husband that we slept together. When I read those words, I quickly ran and told my husband what I did. My husband and I were married for 3 years. Me, Missy, 33, husband, David, 41, and husband's best friend, Jimmy, 41. My husband and I met in 2017 in Europe for the Red Hot Chili Peppers World Tour. We were both happy when we realized we both lived near each other, just 1 hour from each other. David was at the concert with his best friend, Jimmy. According to Jimmy, David was supposed to hook him up with me, but I found more interest in David. I honestly never found Jimmy attractive. I never really just gave in to his constant compliments. He's just so creepy to me. He even told me that his intentions were to get some Euro cooch while at the concert. He's so weird, which explains why I had to be drunk in order to sleep with him. David actually proposed to me in 2018, not even a full year of us dating and being together exclusively. I was very happy, David, and I hit it off quickly. In fact, the night that we met, we slept together. It was just 2 adults having consensual sex, and at the time, I didn't think we would ever really hit it off long term. I figured maybe we'd just be friends because, in my head, we just had a one-night stand. Those typically don't turn into long-term relationships unless it's just a hit every once in a while. But David was consistent. He wasn't like other guys. He really pursued me, took me out on dates, even cooked for me. My husband is an amazing cook. I used to tell him all the time he should have been a chef. My husband and I didn't marry until 2021. If y'all remember, the world was in shambles in 2020. The plan was to get married then, but things were just so weird at that time. I ended up moving into his home. I lost my job. David was there to take care of me. Writing this makes me feel so bad because he's such a great man. But yet, I allowed alcohol to control me and that slimeball Jimmy. I don't want those listening to think that I pretty much robbed my ex-husband because I moved in with him. I didn't have a job, and I didn't have a job the remainder of our marriage. My ex-husband was doing well for himself. He had a really nice house, 3-bedroom, an office, a beautiful home that I moved right into and didn't have to pay a single thing, and the fact that David enjoyed cooking. He did a lot of cooking. He enjoyed doing it. He'd come home from work and cook, or he'd have something in a crock pot already and he'll just make sides for it. I didn't just sit around and collect and get treated like a queen or anything. I did clean the house. Before I came, David had a cleaning lady that would come twice a week. He didn't need her anymore. I was there. I cleaned the home. I ran errands throughout the day. I'll pick him up lunch if he couldn't make it out of the office. I'd go and check on his shop when he felt like some of his workers weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing or they just needed a checkup. I'd go spy for him. In the beginning, it was funny. They had no idea I was his fiancée. David ran a furniture company. David is very skilled. He's been building furniture since he was a teenager, but I'd go in sometimes pretending like I was shopping for something, looking back in the shop area to see how the guys were doing. David never had an issue with the display area and a couple of the girls that were working up there. They always seemed to do their job, but for some reason in the shop, those young guys would lollygag a lot and fall behind on schedule with some things. One thing I do blame David for is being too trusting of Jimmy. Jimmy really is a complete slimeball. He would pop up at the house knowing that David wasn't there when I learned that he really had the hots for me. He told me how I was supposed to be with him that night in Europe, but I chose David instead. Jimmy told me this while he was sober. Also, he just had a mouth that was ridiculous. He'd literally tell me how we can still F even David won't know about it. I'd shut it down and threaten to ruin his friendship with David. David and I got married in 2021. It was a small wedding, just family and friends, but immediate family and friends. Jimmy was there right by David's side. He's just a pure snake. At one point while the judge was standing there talking, I happened to look at Jimmy that was standing right next to my husband and he winked at me. So freaking disgusting. I even tried introducing him to my girlfriends, but only one of 3 girlfriends liked him, but he didn't like the one that liked him. She's a bit on the heavier side, but she's sweet and highly intelligent. She's a software developer. He talked about my girlfriend like a dog, saying he would never date a pig, and they must have slept together because he told me she snores very loud. I didn't ask her if they slept together, but I wish she wouldn't have. I didn't think she would be that type. I almost punched Jimmy in the face talking about her like that. It really pissed me off because I'm looking at him and he's not a catch at all, to be blunt. Jimmy is ugly, hence to why he's single. Now he's not fat. He just has a weirdly structured face and he's the only child. So he has this spoiled, cocky attitude. Jimmy's so ugly. His dad still carries the picture of the kid that came with the wallet. I don't know how he and David became best friends at all. Seriously, they're like the complete opposite. I never told David that Jimmy would hit on me and say inappropriate things to me. I know David loved his best friend. He thought Jimmy was so funny. Anyway, David and I were married and things were great. I never had any intention on cheating on David. I didn't need to. All my needs were met in the bedroom, everywhere. I truly did not need to cheat on him. I can honestly say to all of you guys that alcohol can make you do some stupid things. Think about it. Jimmy is disgusting to me. Yet I slept with him because I was intoxicated. Of course, I knew exactly what I was doing, but the alcohol made me comfortable doing it. I just didn't care. I knew exactly what I was doing. I knew exactly who I was doing it with, but I just didn't care. I don't drink today because of that situation. I know what alcohol can do. I've told this to my brothers and they thought I was being silly. My brother played a song that I actually like now called Blame It on the Alcohol. They both thought I was silly for saying that alcohol caused me to sleep with some guy I thought was unattractive and I couldn't stand and was my ex-husband's best friend. I'm telling you guys, if you're with a woman that drinks and goes out, I wouldn't waste my time with her. I can tell you this as a person that stopped drinking. I never went out to clubs or parties or hung out without David. Before that, absolutely. I told you guys when I first met David, we slept together the first night. How many of you would guess that I had alcohol that night? Of course, I drank some more when I was with David. David just happened to be a great guy and not a sleazeball. Heck, I probably would have slept with him. I've had other one-night stands before when I was single and every time I was drunk. I do not drink today and I will tell anyone listening, man, woman, don't drink. It's just not worth it. There's so many other reasons why you shouldn't drink and making dumb decisions is one of them. So March of this year we were at David and I's home. I truly missed that place. Anyway, we were there and it was just Jimmy, myself and my husband David. We were drinking, listening to music, having an amazing time, joking, having fun. I decided I wanted to get in the pool. My husband wasn't going for it. My husband thought it was too cool. In Phoenix, Arizona in March, sometimes at night you can get down to 52 degrees. So I said, well, let's turn on the hot tub. I just wanted to put on my bathing suit. David didn't think it was a good idea because Jimmy was there and he didn't want me showing off my body to Jimmy. Plus David didn't think it was hot tub season. But it was a bit cool. And also I told you guys alcohol makes you do stupid stuff because once I got the hot tub running, I decided it was a good idea not to throw on a swimsuit. Instead, I just took my clothes off and I got in naked. Jimmy saw me naked for the first time. David just told Jimmy not to look at me, but I'm sure he did anyway, knowing Jimmy. Of course, no one got in the hot tub with me. They stayed out playing some card game while I relaxed in the hot tub and drank a little more. Jimmy kept pressuring David to take more shots and they were playing some betting game or making bets on something. Anyway, David kept losing and he kept taking shots to the point where he was just out of it. And Jimmy carried him inside on the couch. When Jimmy came back out about 15 minutes later, he said David fell asleep. He fell asleep with him, but woke back up and remembered I was out here in the hot tub and wanted to make sure I was okay. I wasn't even thinking that I'm sitting here fully naked under the water and Jimmy is standing right over me talking, leaning on the hot tub. He tells me how amazing I look and I smile. Thanked him for his compliments. The alcohol is making me do this. Any other time Jimmy has tried to hit on me, I shut him down completely. I remember him coming down and kissing me. I knew I was kissing Jimmy. Kissed him back. It just felt okay. Next thing I know, his hands are in the water, asked me to go up to the bedroom. He grabs me out and carried me to me and my husband's bedroom. Jimmy claims that I agreed to leave with him, run away to Texas or even New Orleans, where he knew places where we could move to. He claimed during sex and even after sex we talked about it and I agreed that I'd go with him and that I was in love with him. I don't remember saying any of that. I remember the sex. I do. And as much as I hate Jimmy, it wasn't bad sex, but I don't remember us talking about that at all. I really think he made this up. When I woke up in the morning, I was fully nude on the bed and Jimmy wasn't there in home. He had left, leaving our back door unlocked. My husband David was still asleep on the couch. I woke him up fully nude and he just grabbed me. Me knowing that I just did something with Jimmy. I wasn't gonna tell my husband and I didn't stop him from getting it on with me. My husband and I made love on the couch where he slept. According to Jimmy, he did use protection on me so he didn't finish in me or anything. That would have really hurt me if another man did that to me and then I let my husband do it to me without cleaning myself up. That didn't happen. I believe when he said that. So afterwards, my husband and I both take a shower and he tells me he's going to go out and cook us breakfast. I was excited because I was starving. I didn't eat dinner the night before. When I did drink, I enjoyed skipping meals because it'll make being drunk better and I'd eat late at night, but I didn't eat that night. My husband was cooking. I'm getting notification texts from Jimmy. He's telling me he bought the go. He's telling me how much he loves me and so glad that I was finally honest with him. I text him back. What the hell are you talking about? Go where? Love you? No, I don't love you. What is wrong with you? That's when he called me. I answered and I tried to go into the closet so my husband couldn't hear me talking. He's telling me I told him I was going to run away with him and be with him, divorce my husband and marry him. I told Jimmy he was freaking crazy and we had a lot to drink last night. I'm not running away with him. He's lost his freaking mind. Jimmy called me a liar and said I'm a user and he threatened to tell David what happened and he didn't care if he lost his friendship with David. I hung up the phone on Jimmy, but I was scared. I threw my clothes on quickly because I thought he really was about to call my husband or text him and tell him that I slept with him the night before. I thought I'd beat him to the punch. I'll tell my husband it was alcohol and we were intoxicated. But I think he should leave Jimmy alone and we move on with our lives. So that's what I tried to do. I went into the kitchen. Food was almost ready. My husband was making the plates and I stopped him and I told him I needed to talk to him and something just told me to cry. So I started crying. I told my husband how I just realized that I made the biggest mistake of my life last night and I asked him, why did he allow me to drink so much? Why did we drink so much? Where were you? You left me alone. My husband is begging me, what is wrong with you? I told him, well, I think I had sex with Jimmy last night and I feel freaking disgusting. I fell to the ground. I'm crying. I hugged my husband's legs and all I could say was, where were you? Why did you leave me? My husband is trying to pick me up saying, what are you talking about? We all fell asleep together, didn't we? I said, no, you were here. Sleep on the couch. I was in the bedroom. I walked to the bedroom after getting out of the hot tub. I laid there and Jimmy came in and I remember he started to have sex with me. My husband said, oh my gosh. Are you saying he worded you? I was silent for a minute. David kept saying, I'm going to off him. He's dead. I'm not calling the police. I'll handle the business myself. I couldn't let that go on. I contemplated telling David that he took advantage of me, but I couldn't do that. Yeah, I don't like Jimmy, but I couldn't do that to someone that's horrible. I told David that I knew what was going on. I knew I was having sex with him, but the alcohol caused me to believe that it was okay. Honey, I'm so sorry I made a mistake. But your friend, Jimmy is a prick to do that to his best friends. Says a lot about him. He's been wanting me for a long time. He even told me about when we met in Europe, how he was supposed to be with me. He told me these things, honey, just cut Jimmy off. Let's move on with our lives. David stepped back, looked at me and did something I thought he'd never do. David slapped me so hard that I fell to the ground. I knocked over one of the plates. He was preparing for us. David walked to our room and cried. I could hear him from the kitchen crying. These sheets stink. I've never seen him cry before. I've never heard him cry at all. It didn't even sound like my David. Truly broke my heart. It never crossed my mind to call the police on David. I deserve that. I probably deserve more. I went to try to console David. He pushed me off. It wasn't just a gentle push. He pushed me pretty hard. I knew not to mess with him. I told him I'll get my things and I'll leave. I went to stay with a friend not too far from where we live. I told her everything. She held me and told me it'll be okay and she knows David will forgive me. My friend was completely wrong. Not only did David serve me with divorce papers, David replaced me with another woman. How did he replace me so fast? I don't know who this woman was. She was pretty. I believe she's Latin American, but she's beautiful. That woman currently lives in the house I used to call home. David told me straight up, don't make this difficult. You cheated on me. You get nothing. Absolutely nothing. I signed some paperwork saying that I didn't want anything. I could have taken him to the cleaners. I never signed a prenup and David makes really good money. I didn't because I knew I messed up. I figured if I don't want any bad karma to fall back on me, I need to do the right thing and that's what I did. I didn't ask for anything and I didn't get anything except the car that he did buy for me. It was in my name so I got to keep that. He didn't care as long as I didn't take his house, retirement, or business. Jimmy did reach out to me during the divorce process. Actually, he told me that David threatened to off him so he's moving away. But he wouldn't tell me where he was moving to because he was afraid that I would tell David and David would somehow send a hitman after him or something weird. I'll tell you, Jimmy is a freaking weirdo. David wouldn't hire a hitman and he's not going to off anybody. He was just angry and I understand why. I'd be angry too. I wanted to share my story with your channel because I feel safe to do so. Your YT is called True Story Epic. I think you'd want a true real story. All the stories on here were stories of men complaining and telling it from their point of view. Which is fine, but why not hear it from the actual adulterer? Feel free to ask any questions in the comments. I'm telling you guys, alcohol will make you do stupid things. Now I'm sorry to break you all's hearts. I'm not doing horrible in life. My husband divorced me. I was able to go back to work easily. I did have a career before him. Only thing is that I stopped drinking alcohol. I don't touch that stuff anymore. It's complete poison. I believe it should be illegal. I saw David and his new girlfriend at Target. He was all over her. I do think that maybe he was cheating with her or he just knew about her and there was some sexual chemistry between them because how did he replace me so fast? He had to have known her. Maybe he dated her before me. I don't know. I'd love to know, but seeing him all over her and at Target, it kind of broke my heart a little bit. That's what we used to. We'd go shopping anywhere, and when no one was in the aisle, he'd snatch me up and grab my behind, and I loved it. He was doing the same thing to another woman. I don't think I could ever be in a relationship again. I don't really see the point anymore. I was married once and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being a housewife. I felt good cuddling and taking care of my husband the way he wanted to be taken care of, but I don't think it's for me. Yes, the alcohol played a part with me cheating on my husband, but a part of me loves being single. I don't really want to be tied to anyone. Not saying if the night with Jimmy would not have happened. I would have wanted to divorce David. I would have stayed with him the rest of my life. I had it made and I felt good and he didn't hound me. If I wanted to go somewhere, he didn't monitor how long I was gone or anything. I'd just go shopping by myself. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my freedom, and every time I went out, if a guy hit on me, I'd show them my ring. I was proud to show them that ring too. By the way, he has that ring, he didn't ask for it. I just felt it was the right thing to do, so I gave it back. Kind of regret that because I could have gotten some type of money for it, but again, I didn't want any bad karma coming back on me. That stuff is real if you guys don't know that. I hope my type of story is readable on your channel. I'd love to hear it if you can email me back and let me know if you're going to do it or not. Would be great. Messed up what you did. That truly is messed up. That was a good guy. David was a good guy. He took care of you. You quit your job or you got fired or whatever and he took care of you. Brought you into his home. A home that he worked really hard for. All those years and all that time you allowed Jimmy to hit on you. Something about Jimmy hitting on you, you really liked it. You can pretend like, oh, he was disgusting. I told him to stop. You enjoyed it as ugly as you say he was. You enjoyed it. Don't pretend like you didn't. You got drunk and you had sex with him. You even had the nerve to say the sex wasn't bad. I don't know if you really feel bad about what you did. I think you always knew you were going to sleep with Jimmy. You just needed an excuse to do so. You needed an excuse and you blamed it on alcohol like the Jamie Foxx song. It's ridiculous, man. Truly is ridiculous. Who knows if David was cheating on you or he had something lined up. He probably didn't. Probably was a woman that found him attractive. She always liked him. The opportunity presented itself and he went with it. He likes her. He moved her right in. I don't know why he's moving people into his home, but he needs to be more careful. He needs to make people sign prenups. Yeah, don't be moving people in your home and having them quit their job because they'll do something like what OP did. But take him to the cleaners when it's divorce time. I think she was just afraid to do any of that stuff. She's talking about karma. I think she truly knows David would have snapped. He would have offed everybody. He wasn't going to let you cheat on him and take everything from him. That wasn't going to happen. Guys, if you want to send in a story, send it to truestorynation@gmail.com. Here, I'll put it on the screen. That's truestorynation@gmail.com. I'm gonna catch you guys at the next one.